Okay, so today we're looking at the domain and vertical asymptotes. They're related. Maybe you saw that in the last claw that we worked on. But to find a vertical asymptote quickly, as a review, we set the denominator equal to 0, and we solve for x. So our vertical asymptote is x equals -2. That's also the number that gives us a 0 in the denominator. So for the domain, we would say that x cannot be -2. And there's a relationship there. Where the vertical asymptote is, that's where the domain does not exist. Okay, let's look at a little bit more complex problem. So in this case, what you're going to want to do first is you're going to want to factor the numerator here. So hopefully by now you can identify the difference of two perfect squares. So x squared breaks up to x times x, and then -9 breaks up to +3 and -3. Same thing with the bottom. If we can factor it out, we want to do that. So again, we have the difference of two squares. So x squared breaks up to x times x, and then -4 breaks up to +2 and -2. Okay, so in this case, we have two factors. So we need to set both of them equal to 0. And then solve for x. And we have two vertical asymptotes. So when you graph this function, you have a vertical asymptote at -2 and one at 2. So both of these are vertical asymptotes. Okay, and so for the domain, we would say that x does not equal -2 and x does not equal 2. So there's actually two places. Now if you're using interval notation, you would have to write it out to -2 union -2 to 2 union 2 to infinity. So all of these values, not including -2, everything between these two, but not including 2 and everything to infinity. Now a little bonus here. To find the zeros, we would take your two factors at the top, x plus 3, set it equal to 0, x minus 3, set it equal to 0. So we would have a 0 if we solve for x. We have a 0 at -3, and we also have a 0 at 3. So at these two numbers, that's where the graph would cross the x-axis. So remember, with the zeros, it's the numerator factors that will give you the zeros. Okay? The vertical asymptotes, it's the denominator factors. Okay, let's start off with another one. First thing we want to do here is we want to try to factor the numerator in order to find the zeros, and we're going to factor the denominator in order to find the vertical asymptotes. So factoring the numerator, that one's pretty straightforward. X squared breaks down to x and x, and this is going to be minus 4 and positive 3. They add up to negative 1, and they multiply to give you negative 12. Now on this one, I'm going to go ahead and use the x factor since my a value is not 1. A times c, b value, and it's two numbers that multiply to give me negative 6 and add to give me negative 5. Looks like those two numbers are going to do the trick. Put our a value on top, simplify. Alright, so we got x minus 3 and 2x plus 1. Okay, so now to find our vertical asymptotes, set each factor equal to 0, so x minus 3 so we have a vertical asymptote at 3. X equals 3. And the other factor, we're going to solve for x. So our other vertical asymptote, x equals negative 1/2. And of course, our domain, x cannot be 3, and x does not equal negative 1/2. Going to our zeros, also known as our roots, interchangeable terms, we set the numerator factor is equal to 0 and solve. So for our roots, we have x minus 4, x plus 3. So solving this one, we get x equals 4. So we have a root at 4, 0. And we have another root at negative 3, 0. Okay, hope you guys are having a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow in class.